Welcome back to this podcast. In our last episode, we looked at who is watching American football today, inside of the States and outside of the States, especially in Europe. Now, we're gonna get to the answer of how did American football get to Europe? Well, the first roots of American football here came with the military during World War II. American soldiers stationed across Europe brought more than just supplies and weapons. They brought culture, food, and games. One of those games was football. Between battles, troops organized games to pass the time and boost morale. In 1944, for example, the famous T-Ball was played in London between two US Army teams. These games drew thousands of spectators, both military personnel and curious locals. While the games were meant for relaxation, they also left an impression. Europeans who had never seen this sport before were introduced to its physicality and structure. After the war, when US bases remained in countries like Germany, Italy, and Spain, the games continued informally, serving both as entertainment for American troops and quiet cultural introductions for Europeans into the world of football. So the early clubs and the local interest. By the 1970s and 80s, local enthusiasts in Europe began to organize their own football clubs. Some had lived in the US, others had learned about the sport through American films or military contacts. Equipment was often scarce and expensive, coaches were usually self-taught, but the passion was there. In Germany, teams like Düsseldorf Panther and Munich Cowboys were founded in the late 1970s. Similar clubs popped up in Austria, Italy, and France. These local leagues laid the foundation for what would come next. The NFL, they realized that in Europe there was this small but very passionate fan base of football, and they made an experiment. In the 1990s, the NFL stepped in with its own vision for football in Europe, the World League of American Football, later renamed NFL Europe. It was a semi-professional league with teams in both North America and Europe. Eventually, it focused entirely on Europe, with teams in Frankfurt, Barcelona, Amsterdam, Berlin, London, and more. Barcelona's team, the Dragons, played in the city's Olympic Stadium and developed a loyal fan base. But the league struggled financially. There wasn't enough money from sponsorships, and there wasn't enough audience for the ticket sales to be a source of revenue that would be sustainable for these clubs. Some cities actually embraced their teams, others didn't. By 2007, NFL Europe folded. It wasn't sustainable. Still, it left behind more than empty stadiums. It left infrastructure, experienced coaches, and a stronger network of European fans and players that will lead to where football is today. Let's focus on Spain. Here, we had an American football league called the Serie A. But now, it is known as the LNFA. American football got to Spain in the 1980s, influenced by American military presence and increasing cultural exchange after Spain opened itself up to the world after its dictatorship. In 1988, Spain launched its first official top-tier league, the Serie A, the Spanish equivalent of a national American football league. Over time, it evolved into what's now called the Liga Nacional de Fútbol Americano, or LNFA. The league is governed by FIFA, the Spanish Federation of American Football, and has included clubs from across the country. The Badalona Dracs, based in Barcelona, are the most successful team in league history, winning multiple national titles. Other prominent teams include the L'Hospitalet Pioneers, the Valencia Firebrands, and the Madrid Osos Rivas. Spain's league, while amateur or semi-professional, has consistently produced homegrown talent. Teams typically include a mix of Spanish players and a few foreign imports, usually from the US or Latin America. Games are played under NCAA rules, and while the league doesn't attract huge media coverage, it has carved out a steady following. In recent years, the LNFA has worked to build up youth programs and improve coaching. Social media has also helped clubs connect with fans and showcase highlights to new audiences. While attendance at games remains modest, the league plays a key role in maintaining and growing the sport in Spain. So what happened to American football after the NFL Europe collapsed? Well, after 2007 and the NFL Europe folding, Some worried it would kill the sport's momentum, but instead it left behind a stronger grassroots program. Germany in particular became a powerhouse with local leagues that still draw crowds of several thousand people. Spain's progress was slower but steady. Today the LNFA remains a central hub for football development in the continent. Some players have even gone on to play in US colleges or join international competitions like the European Championships. In many ways, Europe's football scene today looks more like a patchwork quilt, each country developing its own structure, its own clubs, and its own fan base. Very reminiscent of how football or soccer developed in its early days. So how did American football take root in Europe? It started with soldiers. It was boosted by the NFL, and it grew thanks to the dedication of local players and fan bases who simply loved the game. In the next episode, we are going to look at where the growth has taken us and today's landscape of European football, including the NFL's renewed push and the rise of new leagues on the continent.